Welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast.
Here's a sneak peek into what we're going to cover in this week's episode of the Echo Tips Podcast. Draw a picture of a cat riding a unicycle wearing a top hat.
Creating your art.
Oh, snap. Well, hello, and welcome back to an episode of the Echo Tips Podcast. It's good to have you all with us this week, our returning listeners and our new listeners alike. Before I introduce the show for those that are unfamiliar with what the Echo Tips Podcast is, aka our new listeners, I'd like to highlight our theme today, which is we're going to be delving a little bit, maybe a little bit off topic, but it's related to our A-Lady, and that is where our A-Lady lives on our televisions for some of us. You may have a TV with a built-in Fire TV to make it a smart TV, if you will, or you may be like me where you're like, I've had this TV, but I want different types of devices, and so you may have used Rokus in the past or a Roku stick, but you also have the Fire TV stick line of devices. So we're going to be talking about an interesting announcement from Amazon this past fall where they announced a lot of AI goodness that we've talked about before. And we're going to be talking about art generation on your television, because a lot of times your TV's just sitting over there and maybe it goes into like a screensaver mode and it can show family artwork. It can show beautiful scenes and pictures. It's kind of like a little artwork display on your wall, but you can also have it generate custom art and potentially, I couldn't seem to get this feature to work yet, but maybe customize the art you've already taken and maybe uploaded family photos and things like that. So very interesting what we're going to be delving into today, connect with that. But there were some other AI announcements connected with the Fire TV as well. We may be looking at some of those in the future, like the ease of use of finding shows and actors, and is that a free series? Is it not a free series? Neat ways through simple dialogue, hopefully with the AI smarts, that you'll be able to narrow down that list and not have to go searching and figuring it out. And was that actor in that? And no, I want the one where he was in a tornado movie, and find the thing that you're looking for. Well, before we delve into that and our theme of the day, the art generation feature on the Fire TV Max stick and similar devices that may support that feature, we're going to mention first to our new listeners, welcome you new listeners. Our show is little nuggetized episodes. We try to keep it somewhere 5 to 15 minutes long. Sometimes they go up to about 25. And we've had some omnibus episodes recently, which were longer format, where we wedged a whole giant genre of content together, like we did one about alarms. You never knew there was so much to learn about alarms, but we did an omnibus episode on that, and we did an omnibus episode on all things AI that we've been beta testing in different features in the past months. So feel free to go back and check that back catalog. Those are longer formats. Generally, though, you new listeners, we keep it 5 to 15 minutes, maybe somewhere around the 20-minute mark as well. Now, I'm your host of the podcast. My name is David Ward. I'm an assistive technology instructor at the New Vision program at Goodwill, based here in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Southwest Virginia, where it is definitely summertime now. The grass is a-growing, the sun is a-shining. It is warm out there, boys and girls. So it is something else. But I'm in a nice, cool, air-conditioned studio today, so that is awesome. And so before we delve into our content connected with the Fire TV and AI smartness and art generation and things like that, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then we will be right back.
This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a non-profit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. And we thank you for listening. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision.
Well, hello again, and welcome back to the show. As I mentioned this week, we're going to be delving a little bit of off topic onto the Fire TV and Fire TV Stick line of devices. Now, these devices have grown over the years. I say that grown like they got grown up or something, but they've matured. Maybe that's the right word, or evolved in a way. They're getting more and more memory. They're getting more and more smarts. They're getting more and more processing capability. In fact, I think the one we're using today has something like a dual core 2 gigahertz processor. I remember my first computer that I built out of high school. It didn't even have anything like that. It had like 500 megahertz at most. And anyway, so really powerful little devices. And as a result, in the Amazon event, they talked about some AI smarts and different cloud style features. And who knows, maybe some of the stuff will be locally processed at some point on the Fire TV line of devices. Now, in particular, they were highlighting their newest and hottest device, which they released last fall, or this past fall of 2023, which was the 4K, let me make sure I get the naming right here because the nomenclature isn't the easiest. It's the 4K Fire TV Stick Max. So there's a regular one and there's the Max. The Max, I believe, has generally more memory, and I think you can go check me on this. It has a certain, definitely has Wi-Fi, I think 6 E capacity, if I remember right. But by all means, check out the listing on that. It's been a long time since I purchased this unit, and I purchased it for the classroom specifically so I could demo it for you guys and show some kind of new features that were announced there at that Amazon event. So one of the things is connected with art generation and the ability maybe even to modify the art. So before I go any further, let's go back and play a segment from the Amazon event, and so you can see really what I'm talking about. Let's go to that right now.
Earlier this year, we also announced a new way for our customers to create AI-generated artwork as part of the ambient experience for free, using just your imagination and your voice. I actually had this idea for creating a piece of art with a meteor shower over the Washington Monument through the simplicity of voice as I was landing here a few days ago. These generative AI artwork features are going to be rolling out to customers in the US a little bit later this year on every device with the Fire TV ambient experience. But we also didn't want to stop there. So today I also want to offer you a sneak peek of what the team's been working on. You often hear me say I love having my family photos in the background of my Fire TV. It's one of my favorite things about the experience. And with an update coming next year, I'll be able to easily transform some of my favorites into an artful display. Let me show you a bit about how it works. Show me pictures from our summer vacation. I won't bore you with all these, but it was super fun. I love this one in particular, my kids watching the sunset. Make this photo watercolor style.
Okay, creating your background. This'll only take a few seconds.
Awesome. If I don't like that one, I might choose something a little brighter maybe, like Ezra's hair in that one. So fun. Let's try one more for fun. Show me pictures from our trip to the East Coast. I like this one of the Guggenheim. Let's try that. Change this photo into a cyberpunk city. You can really use your imagination.
Creating your background. This'll only take a few seconds.
Try anything you like. Maybe a little spooky for the living room, but you get the idea. It's really fun.
Okay, so as you could see from that event, these were kind of some of the expectations and the soft rollout, beta rollout, and hence I got the Fire TV 4K, I keep trying to say the name, 4K Max with this specifically in mind. Now, I've had it plugged up for a couple of weeks here. I'm sorry I didn't get to this, guys, earlier, maybe a month or two, and it had a lot of software updates, and I was hoping that right out of the gate, I'd have access to some of those features that were just talked about in that demonstration during the Amazon event. Now, admittedly, those were things that he cultured, and a lot of those things they mentioned were coming in the future. And so, I'm here now, living in the future, and I had this sucker plugged in, and I gotta tell you, I couldn't find the features that he described, or seemed to surface hardly anything that was described there for many, many weeks. But I was constantly getting updates, and I'd walk over and ask the Fire TV, hey, can you make a piece of artwork, or can you create a background like this? And, I can't do that. So finally, I did get that capacity. Now, for those that are unfamiliar with the Fire TV, one of the unique things about it is it has a voice remote. So it has a really basic remote with up and down arrows, volume controls, some pre-programmed things, usually like Netflix and stuff like that. But most uniquely, it has a microphone on it where you can talk to your A-Lady. And you can ask your Fire TV pretty much anything. You could ask the A-Lady to play music, to open even up a skill that you usually play, like Jeopardy or the Bible app skill, or really almost anything using the voice control remote. And so that's kind of cool. But as a consequence, you also have this ability to search for TV shows, or in this case, give it voice commands to create artwork. Now, if you have one of these newer Fire TV 4K Max sticks, and I couldn't quite figure from his nomenclature, the way he phrased things, if some of the other 4K would support it. But you could always try it. But if you're curious as to where this was, because I couldn't seem to figure out where it would surface, it actually popped up at the very top. So when you launch the Fire TV and you go to the home page, it usually has this scrolling marquee across the top of current movies and stuff. Well, oddly enough, it was up there. And I navigated up there one day, and there's a little button say, hey, would you like to try this art generator, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, there it is. So it was almost advertised to me like a TV show or a movie. So I didn't pick up on it at first. So anyway, we're going to give this a try now, and I do apologize. There's some feedback coming in from this television set. I don't know why. I don't get this on anything else that I've tried with this TV. I listen to movies and TV shows and never seem to get this feedback. So I apologize. There might be a little whine and static on this recording from the television set. So I'm going to cue that on now, and we're going to give it, what should we try and create? Oh, I have no idea, but let's give it a try. All right, so I'm going to turn it on. All right, and here we are with the TV. I'm going to go to the home screen here, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Home, 5 of 14.
Okay, so now...
Use left and right to move between items.
Now, I have my TV with its screen reader on, which is designed for the blind and vision impaired since I can't see too well, and that way it can read all the controls and different things out to me. In case you didn't know that, you can, as a blind user, use a Fire TV stick entirely accessibly. There's occasionally some things that don't work perfectly, but generally you can navigate the menus and do some pretty amazing stuff. Anywho, and so I'm going to give it a voice command. Let's create some artwork. Draw a picture of a cat riding a unicycle wearing a top hat.
Creating your art.
Oh, snap. All right, it's got a little processing thing going on the page here. I know this isn't the greatest podcasting or radio, but it's got a little processing. Now, I have had this kick back sometimes and not work, but generally in something simple like this, it seems to work fine. Okay, so it's popped up a number of tiles here, and it doesn't seem to always be consistent, but it seems to be about 3 or 4 examples it creates. Now, this particular component, by the way, Amazon, doesn't seem to interact very well with my voiceover, where I can arrow around and get feedback, so you could do some tweaking there. But I'm going to open this first one here, And so you can pull it up full screen if you hit enter on it, and then you look at your
Save to collection button.
Oh, and then you get a button. It does read that says, would you like to save it? So once you find one that you like, you can actually hit that button and save it into your permanent photo profile. And from there, you can set it to be, one of the artworks that's displayed on a regular basis whenever your TV is kind of sitting idle or something like that. I don't know about this one. It just seems like a cat. Where's the unicycle? Let me go back and look at the other one here. Okay. All right.
Save to collection button.
Oh, there it pops up the button again. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because we can't really describe, this is a podcast. How am I going to show you? I'm going to take one of these pictures, probably this one, and I'm going to save it, and I'm going to actually put it on the album art so you guys can see it, and maybe even put a link to it in the notes. I'll just put it on the album art. That'd probably be the easiest thing to do. But I have another app here specifically designed for the blind that can take a picture and describe it. So let me do that for you. Okay, we don't. It's called Be My AI, and okay. All right, so now it's going to describe it.
The image shows a cat with a striped fur pattern, standing on a unicycle. The cat is wearing a tall, black top hat with a red band around it. The background is a gradient of blue and purple hues. There is a green button at the bottom of the image with the text Save to Collection.
Ain't that something? So I got the picture that I basically wanted, and now, admittedly, I was kind of vague. It's just a cat on a unicycle with a top hat, but you got exactly what you were hoping to get. And so you can imagine you could have mountains, it could be a steampunk scene, it could be science fiction something, and I'm going to save this one so I can share it with you guys later. But there you go. I hit the enter on that, and so it's saved. Let me shut this thing off because it's whining in our ears. So now, as demoed, and we went back and looked at that Amazon demo, he actually also showed it using to modify photos he already had in his current photo selection or photo reel or online cloud photos he'd taken a family and things like that. And you can get access to that real easily by going to any computer or browser. If you're logged into Amazon, and go to amazon.com/photos, and I'm sure there's an app equivalent that allows you to do that as well. Or on your Fire TV, you can just say to the lady on your Fire TV, open up my photos, and there you'll be with your photos. And so you can scroll through those. Now, I tried what he did, and maybe the feature hasn't rolled out to me yet. Like I said, this thing's been getting lots and lots of updates, and I think it probably finally enrolled me maybe in this beta program. I'm guessing. I don't know if it's fully a beta program, or I just haven't got the iteration that he was talking about yet, or maybe they backed off and decided not to do it. But I took a number of my photos in the Photos app on the Fire TV, and I would ask it voice command. I would say, okay, make this a steampunk photo, or put a top hat on the person in this photo, or, do something to this photo, and I couldn't get it to work at all. So I don't know if there was a problem there, or maybe I need to link those photos to my backgrounds in some way, and then maybe this app has access to that. I'm not really too sure, but I couldn't easily surface that. But obviously, if I come up with a solution here in the future, or hear something from one of you that have got it to work, I'll by all means share that back out with the audience. But anyway, so that is a brief, real quick way to make a cat ride a unicycle with a top hat and forevermore be displayed on your television whenever your friends are over and they're looking over at your TV and they're like, what is going on? So anyway, so it's really, really kind of cool. Now, there's other AI features that I think are going to be much more practical, which he highlighted during that event. And if we can surface that as well and demonstrate that as well, I'll do that, which are much more kind of practical, trying to find TV shows based on an artist name, or you could say, that hit movie from the 90s where there was giant tornadoes. Who was that actor? And what was that other movie he was in that was, and it's really kind of interesting, the dialogue to narrow down. I think probably the simplest thing I saw cool is, let's say, he said, bring up like adventure movies and then show me the ones that are free, free to watch, so something simple like that. But, wow. Wow, real simple. If you have AI ability to interact with a natural language way to say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, and it actually find it, that's pretty amazing. And so we'll see if we can surface that, or I have access to those feature sets on this Fire TV yet. But until next time, you're welcome to reach out to us with thoughts, suggestions at Facebook or Twitter, now known as X. Maybe I should X Twitter, I don't know, but Twitter or X at Goodwill let's get that right. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys. And you can email us at info@goodwillvalleys.com as well. Until next time, I would typically say turn the ears back on your Echo and start practicing some of the many things you learned, but we didn't have to shut off the ears on the Echo today, so that's really not a worry. Oh, I was going to mention too, the cool thing about this is these photos are shared just not across your TVs that have Fire TVs in them or Fire TV sticks. This can also be shared across your Echoes that have screens like your Echo Shows. So this is a really cool way to have a diverse photo collection on your Echo Shows as well. And if a similar capability comes to the Echo Show natively, we'll look at that too. I'm pretty sure there's skills that allow you to do stuff like this, but I don't know about the native functionality yet. I haven't surfaced that yet. But anyway, until next time, we thank you for listening.
This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. And we thank you for listening. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision.